Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. My name is Betty and in this video I am going to talk about the books I read in April. I read 5 or 6 books in total, so enjoy the video. The first book I read in April was A Court of Thorn and Roses by Sarah J Maas, and this book is about Feyre. I literally had to Google how to pronounce her name because I had absolutely no idea, and so I'm hoping I'm saying it right. Anyway, this book is about Feyre, and she has to hunt for her family, for herself, because otherwise they don't have any food to eat. So one day she goes out into the woods and she kills a wolf. At least she wasn't sure if it was a wolf or a fairy, and it turns out it was a fairy, and now another fairy drags her up to another country land, and she has to live with this fairy for the rest of her life. And this fairy is Tamlin, and he's like one of the most powerful fairies that exist. But something dark is happening in that world, like something very mysterious, and it is threatening Tamlin and the other fairies, and Feyre wants to help them. So last year I read The Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros, and I absolutely loved that book. I was obsessed. So not much later, other people started to recommend me to read this series, and I finally did. In my opinion, this book was good. Not as good as Fourth Wing, but it was still like really good. It was just good in my opinion. Nothing really stood out for me, to be honest, but I just liked it. It's hard to explain, but I just liked it, but it was nothing spectacular in my opinion. But I gave it like a 4 out of 5 stars. One thing that really annoyed me was Violet sometimes, because she wouldn't listen. Like everyone would tell her, like Tamlin, that she had to stay in her room for the rest of the night, and she didn't listen. And that happened multiple times, and it was so annoying. I mean, she was curious, obviously, and she wanted to know more what was going on, what was happening. Um, but still, she was still not listening to them, and even though they were trying to protect her. So yeah, Fire annoyed me a little bit in this book. The next book I read in April was Promise Me Sunshine by Cara Stone, and this book is about Lenny, and she's grieving. She just lost her best friend, and she's now basically living on the streets. She's literally sleeping on the ferry, and because she is too scared to go back to their apartment they were living together, and she's just too scared to face reality. And then she gets a job as a nanny, and she starts working for Reese and her daughter Ainsley. And for some reason, Ainsley's uncle Miles is always there, and he finds out that she's grieving, that she just lost her best friend, and he offers her to help her. And in return, she has to help him because he has a hard time to connecting to Ainsley and Reese. They have a very complicated relationship. So they help each other, and eventually they fall in love, obviously, because this is also a romance. The thing I like the most about this book is that it felt very realistic. Lenny is grieving and she just lost her best friend, and her emotions are all over the place. Like one minute she is happy, then she is feeling guilty that she is feeling happy, and then she is crying again. It's like very messy and confusing, but that is what it makes like very realistic. I also liked the slow burn love between Lenny and Miles. It was very cute, and I really liked that. The next book I read in April was Say You Remember Me by Abby Jimenez, and this book is about Xavier and Samantha. Xavier is a veterinarian and he has his own clinic. And one day Samantha comes in with a kitten, and he does not make a very good first impression because he's like very grumpy, angry even. a few weeks later, Samantha comes back with the kitten for a checkup. Everything is fine. And then Xavier asks her out on a date. And their date is like perfect, just perfect, except maybe for the fact that they were locked up in an escape room for several hours in the middle of the night. But other than that, it was just the perfect date. Xavier knows that Samantha is going on the trip, but he doesn't know that it is a one-way trip, because Samantha is going back to California to take care of her mother, who is suffering from dementia. So yeah, they think it is going to be just one date, but Xavier can stop thinking about her, and Samantha can stop thinking about him, and they decide to give this long distance relationship a try. So I really like Xavier in this guy. He's basically the perfect man. He really cares about Samantha. He's very kind. He loves animals. He is sending her flowers and other gifts to her. He works 60 hours a week just so he can pay for a flight to see her. He's basically the dream guy. I also like the balance of happiness and sadness in the story. Like, the romance part is obviously the happiness part, but there's also like the sadness part about Samantha and her mother, who is suffering from dementia. But I really like the balance between those storylines. Yeah, it was a great book. I really enjoyed it. And to be honest, there was not a single thing that I did not like about this book. Well, maybe Xavier was a little bit too perfect. That was the only thing that sometimes bothered me, because he sounded very unrealistic, like too good to be true kind of guy. But other than that, it was an amazing book. I really enjoyed this book. And I can definitely recommend it. The next book I read in April was The Strawberry Patch Pancake House by Laurie Gilmore, and this book is about Archer. And Archer is a very successful chef. He has like a restaurant in Paris, but he just found out that he has a 5-year-old daughter, Olive. So he moves to Dream Harbor to take care of her, because Olive's mother passed away. She died in an accident. So he starts a new job at this diner, but he needs help. He can't do this alone, so he hires a nanny, which is Iris. Iris doesn't have like any experience with kids, but she could really use the money. So this is the 4th book in the Dream Harbor book series. I am really loving this series. It's giving me cozy small time vibes. It reminds me of Gilmore Girls because of the town meetings and the gossip and all that. I'm really loving it, and I like this book as well. However, there was one thing that I didn't like. This book has a kind of insta love, insta lust kind of trope, and that is not really my thing. I prefer like a slow burn kind of love, and it was basically from page 1 insta love, insta lust, and that was not really my thing, but I still gave it a 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. The next book I read was Story of My Life by Lucy Score, and this book is about Hazel, and Hazel is an author and she hasn't written a book in 2 years, and her publisher is not very happy. And she also got divorced like a year, 2 years ago, and now she has to move out of her apartment. And so she decides to leave everything behind, leave the city behind, and move to a small town called Story Lake, and that is where she meets Cam. And Cam is a super grumpy, hot contractor. But Hazel asks him out on a date because she needs inspiration for her new book. She wants to write again, but she doesn't know what it's like to date anyone. So she really needs the inspiration. She wants to do some research, and Cam is going to help her with that. So I have mixed feelings about this book. I think I gave it 2.5, 3 stars on Goodreads. There were parts that I liked, especially the beginning and the ending of this book. The middle part was just meh. And I thought it was very strange that a 17-year-old kid was running the town. He was literally the mayor. He was making all the important decisions, which was very strange. Also, I did not like Cam that much. He was like too grumpy, in my opinion. Like, there's a kind of grumpiness that is kind of attractive, and then you have Cam, who's grumpy all the time, and it's not attractive at all. However, this book made me excited about the next book because we saw a couple of scenes, parts, glimpses, whatever, between Hazel's best friend and Cam's brother, and honestly, those parts were my favorite parts of this book. I was more invested in their relationship, I guess, than I was invested in Hazel's and Cam's relationship. But overall, it was just a good book. Nothing spectacular, in my opinion. It was just okay, average. The last book I read in April was Love Theoretically by Ailey Hazelwood, and this book is about Elsie and Jack. Elsie already has a job, but it does not pay very well. She does not have health insurance, and she has diabetes, so she needs a side hustle. She's on this fake dating app, and guys can hire her, and they go on fake dates basically. And right now she's fake dating Greg, and that is how she meets Jack, because Jack is Greg's older brother. Also, Elsie makes up a fake background story for her dates and their families. So right now she told Greg, Jack, and the rest of the family that she works at a library, which is not true. Then a new job opportunity at MIT comes along for Elsie, with better pay and health insurance, and Elsie really needs the health insurance, so she really needs this job. She has to do like tons of interviews with different people, and those people are going to decide whether she can have the job or not. One of those people is Jack. And this is how he finds out that Elsie has been lying about her job, and he wonders if Elsie has been lying about other things. Can he really trust her? Is she good enough for his brother Craig, because he thinks they are actually dating? So it is a very complicated situation for Elsie. So I really like this book. I think this book might be one of my favorites by Ailey Hazelwood. I really enjoyed it. I think was also the first time that I read about a main character with diabetes. And I kind of like that, because I like when characters are not perfect, because in real life nobody is perfect as well. So I really like this one. But there were also one or two things that I didn't like about this book. First of all, Elsie was way too insecure. I always hate it when main characters are way too insecure. Like, a little bit of insecurity is fine for me, but this was like way too much. She never believed Jack when he told her that he really liked her. So yeah, those parts were like annoying. I also did not like that Ailey Hazelwood mentioned several times, like billion times, how big he was. And I'm not talking about how tall he was. I'm talking about it like in a sexual way, like how big he was. I don't understand the point of it. Yeah, it's just too much information for me, to be honest. So these were the books I read in April. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!